What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Multiverse Monologues, the podcast show where we like to travel across the multiverses and fandoms that we love to talk about the movies and television shows that accompany those universes. Welcome back to the Star Wars Movie Marathon. I am your co-host, Ben Rayside, excited to talk this week about Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And it's not just me talking about this epic conclusion to one of the greatest movie trilogies. Some would even say it's the greatest movie trilogy of all time. Not just me, but also introducing the gentlemen who are helping me along on this Star Wars Movie Marathon. First and foremost, it's Mr. Ethan Wentzloff. Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ben, and I hope we're doing more than just helping you along on this marathon. I'd like to think that we're carrying the load with our jetpacks, and I got to say, rest in peace to the man, Boba Fett. For now.
But never forgotten.
Yeah, gone but never forgotten, because we're going to get an epic show with him once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away.
Ouch.
So excited to talk about that. And as Micah's fiance puts it, the teddy bears that inhabit the planet of Endor. Excited to talk about them.
There's a lot of things that inhabit this movie, man. But one person who always inhabits the living space that we are currently in right
and
now.
our brains 24/7.
Without a doubt. Thank you for adding that, Ethan. Is Mr. Micah Head. Micah, how are you?
I'm doing great. And speaking of those teddy bears, I just, they always warm my heart. And I'm really glad that they got a happy ending here at the end of Return of the Jedi. And it just makes me feel so warm knowing that they lived forever in peace and prosperity.
Right, and then we never have to
Endor
watch
moon.
another movie with them, right?
Yeah,
for
their
sure.
story's done.
Without a doubt. I will say, I know what you're referring to, but have either of you ventured onto Star Wars Battlefront 2 and played a little game mode called
The new one,
Ewok
right?
Hunt? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever played
have
Ewok
not.
Hunt? Because truly, if you've been on there, you know the meaning of fear. The Ewoks in this film are plush teddy bears most of the time. But when you're playing Ewok Hunt, you are more afraid than you've ever been playing any game. It's also a great time with the boys on Star Wars Battlefront 2. But, I mean, certainly different Ewoks.
Is this a formal invite to play Ewok Hunt with you, Ben?
Without a doubt. I'm not even kidding you. We would have so much fun
Well, thank
playing
you,
Ewok
but
Hunt.
I'm good.
Listen, and I've got a copy of it. We're going to make this happen. We're going to stream. Type down below in the comments if you want Star Wars Battlefront 2 Ewok Hunt.
Let's do it.
Exclusive content, guys, coming.
Come on. But you're getting the exclusive content. That is the podcast for Return of the Jedi. I know we all have a lot of things to say. This is definitely the first one where we get a little bit controversial with
Maybe
a few things
Okay.
a part of this movie. Who knows how long it's been since we've seen this now? With fresher eyes, new things may pop up. We're going to find out. But gentlemen, with that, let's hit the hyperdrive and head over to the Star Wars universe.
First came Star Wars.
Use the Force, Luke.
Then The Empire Strikes Back.
Join me.
And on March 14th, the thrilling conclusion to the Star Wars saga, Return of the Jedi.
You are unwise to lower your defenses.
You haven't seen anything till you've seen everything. Return of the Jedi. And still playing separately in theaters, Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. All 3 films rated PG.
Luke Skywalker has returned to his home planet of Tatooine in an attempt to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt. Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star. When completed, this ultimate weapon will spell certain doom for the small band of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the galaxy. And that, gentlemen and listeners, is your crawl for Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And this brings about some huge changes into all of our characters for sure. I feel like with Empire, it was more of like a continuation of what we saw. And this is, okay, where are these characters now, especially Luke Skywalker? But we'll get into it. And I want to get into how we saw this movie first. I want to talk to Ethan first.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you've seen Return of the Jedi? Since this time, and how was it?
It had to have been a few years since I've seen this one. I'm not sure when the last time I did a full watch of this was. definitely was before we started doing this podcast because, we've been waiting a while to watch this movie so we could record a podcast on it. So, yeah, growing up, this one was my favorite of the original 3 and favorite of any Star Wars movie. It's got a lot of fun elements and still has a ton of great elements just on a rewatch. I will say, like, coming into it, there are a little of the details about this movie that don't work as well now that I'm older from a script standpoint, I'd say. But this time I watched half of this, I watched alone. Then half of it I watched with my dad and my brother Marcus, which I wanted to try to do. They had started it on a night where I wasn't there to watch it with them. So then I quickly watched not quickly, I didn't speed it up or anything. I watched the first half, got to the point where they stopped, and then I was able to finish it with them together. So yeah, super fun. Got to do that, and yeah, I'll say I really, really, really like this movie still. It's got a few things that I want to point out and draw attention to, but I'm excited. You get Luke Skywalker rolling up in all black. He has got a good plan maybe to break out Han Solo, but yeah, we're gonna talk about Han Solo too because Harrison Ford was late signing on to this movie, and you feel that in the script with what his character does. Yeah, but
I agree with you on that one. I also, since watching this, I'm like, ooh, there's some things. I'm like, that's interesting that they decided to do this, and it's more obvious once you know the behind the scenes. But I mean, when you're a kid, you're just watching Luke Skywalker face off against Darth Vader, and you see Leia in a bikini, and you're like, wow, okay. There's just a lot in this movie, man, that you're just
sexual awakening for you, Ben, in this movie.
Listen, I don't know. I remember this more than most as a kid for many reasons. Micah, how was this on your watch, and how did you watch it? Because I know you have special editions that you're watching.
Yes. So watching this movie again, I feel like this is the one that I've seen the most. I wouldn't be able to put my finger on it before this podcast. If you were like, hey, which Star Wars movie have you seen the most? I wouldn't be able to know. Maybe one of the prequels, maybe one of the original trilogy, definitely not the sequel trilogy, but just because I grew up with 1 through 6, not because of sequel trilogy bad or whatever, but I feel like I have seen this one the most.
Just watching it, right?
I'm like,
elements of
nothing surprised me. Nothing was like, oh yeah, that's a plot point I forgot about, or oh yeah, that shot wasn't how I remembered it. It was just like exactly how I left it when I was a kid. And it's weird because I watched the Project 4K80, which is a theatrical scan of the original film reel. And the only thing that I found just from memory was the Sarlacc pit wasn't CG. And the barges and stuff and skiffs were not CG as well. Besides that, I mean, the mats may have been different, the paintings, but
no specific number on Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Stood out to you differently?
A number?
Like a
music.
Oh, that's right.
The music was changed.
Yeah.
Laptinek was famously changed to Jedi Rocks.
Yeah, so Jedi Rocks was not there.
Yub Nub.
Yub Nub is
you
not
have
there
Yub Nub.
either.
We have a celebration theme.
Yeah.
That's right. So I did remember watching the original theatrical, quote unquote, on the bonus disc. I don't know if that was the one we watched the most because the original was scratched. Like the special edition one was scratched. I might have to check that out. My parents have the original DVDs that we watched on. So, but this time watching it, yeah, nothing surprised me. A lot of cool enhancements from Empire, but this movie had a lot of big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
with Empire, a lot of people loved Empire. A lot of people adored the script and the direction that it went.
You feel a Dark Knight Rises with this movie,
definitely,
too, because
great comparison.
Begins, and then you have the Dark Knight. Same with A New Hope and Empire. Following that act up is super, super hard.
Yeah, and this movie is still really great, but is it as risky as Empire? Does it go in directions that it should? I don't know. I feel like it's more of a a return to form.
Back to formula.
Back to formula.
Yeah,
I feel it's
definitely.
more
Yeah.
like a sequel to Episode 4 than Episode 5 is.
Yep.
Because there's more aliens, there's more planets, there's it's back on Tatooine even. So
You start off with very similar shots.
it'll
of
be
the
interesting
Star
to
Destroyer.
talk about this movie with you guys.
Well, that's what I'm so excited about because I'm glad you bring that up because largely in these first two, we agree and are just in awe of a lot of the character decisions.
This doesn't have
A
much
lot of-
magic for me.
Not as much.
Mhm.
Although I will say certain elements are the best Star Wars maybe has ever been.
Like this movie,
Certain aspects. Yeah. Like
A New Hope does for Star Wars, like, all the baseline stuff, right? And then Empire Strikes Back expands upon those. It specifically force powers. It does force things that A New Hope never dreamed to do. And then you get to this one, and it's like lightsabers in combat. That's so cool. You don't even think about that now. It's like, oh yeah, lightsabers in gunfights. That's
Right,
fine. But this, like blaster bolts being deflected. You have the lightsaber throw and force grab with it. That isn't seen until like Kenobi show.
When Luke takes out the speeder, I always get super giddy.
Oh,
when
yeah.
the troopers flying towards him and he's deflecting them and he slices them.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it enhances all the visuals. Like all the spaceships are just. You thought that it couldn't get any better than what they did in Empire, but here it's seamless. It's flawless. All of the special effects there aren't many to critique.
Right.
It holds up today very, very well. And I wonder if that's why I don't feel the magic as much, is because it doesn't have the charm of the roughness that the first two
You're
have.
saying it's too clean?
I'm saying it's too clean, but that's not a critique. It's just, it doesn't have the magic for me because it's too clean.
So
But I'm not going to not get points for that.
No, you can't because I saw this for its 40th anniversary in theaters last year. I forgot to log it on Letterboxd, and I watched. Seriously, I don't know why I have it on my notes app, but I didn't log it on Letterboxd. But what I remember, so it's been very recent for me. My thoughts are not as stagnant in between watches, but one of the things I remembered just being in the theater and even watching it now is that I was just surprised at how good this movie was, because in 2023 you've been obviously jaded from the sequels, and Disney has been putting out a lot of subpar Star Wars things. There's been some good and some bad, but all in all, since 2017, Star Wars had been in a state of flux as far as a fandom goes. There wasn't one thing you could grab onto that was just purely good. And so when me and my brother and my dad went and saw this for the 40th anniversary, I just sat back and I was so happy to watch it and just be like, man, this is just, it's so good. I have some things that I don't like about it. Don't get me wrong, but Luke Skywalker, man, even this rewatch too, he unfortunately he is the best he will ever be.
Don't cry,
in Star
Ben.
Wars.
Don't cry.
His journey across the three films, as you watch him grow, especially in this movie, that's magical right there. You talk that this movie loses some, and it kind of does, but Luke Skywalker as a character, and I watched a lot of behind the scenes for this trilogy in particular, and just the passion that Mark Hamill had, especially for this time. Hey, where is my character going? What's going to happen? He kept badgering Lucas because, I mean, and even Lucas didn't know.
And I love the contrast between like Mark Hamill's like, let's take Luke to a place he's never been, and then you cut to Harrison Ford. Just kill Han Solo already. Come on.
Right.
Just kill him.
And he came on way late because they thought he wasn't coming back.
Right.
And then one of the producers called him up and they said, hey, would you think about coming back? And he's like, sure. Yeah, I'd be honored to do it. Yeah, for sure.
And fun fact is Lucas tried getting Spielberg to direct this one.
Yes.
Yeah, but then there was a whole thing with the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild where George Lucas actually left both of them because they were requiring that he started the movie with the director. That's what they told me I had to do that. And he's like, it'll ruin the fantastical elements of this movie. I can't start with, directed by George Lucas. I can't do that. So he had to leave the guild. And who ended up directing this one, Ben?
Irvin Kershner.
Or that was the last one, right? Or he did both of
Oh,
these?
Irvin Kershner. No, this was You're right. Oh my goodness.
'Cause Kershner
Ralph,
did
no,
Empire.
not Ralph McQuarrie.
Marquand something.
It's Richard Marquand.
Yeah.
Richard Marquand. Thank you. Yes, he did that one, and I mean
why am I
he's had a lot of criticism in his life. I know him and George didn't get along all that well.
This was his last like big thing, I think.
He didn't really do much after this.
He didn't do much
unfortunately.
before.
Well, it was more so like
Where'd this guy come from?
it's like Tom Cruise now. Tom Cruise has the idea for the movie. He knows even the action sequences and scenes he wants. He just needs to find a director who's going to help him accomplish his goals. And that's, I think, what George Lucas did until he got to the prequels, and he was like, no one's gonna be able to help me with this one. My ideas are so out there, and it's like, yeah. But this time it's Irvin Kershner, and although I think he does a great job, I think script-wise, not Irvin Kershner.
Yeah. We're stuck up on that.
I'm still
Richard Marquand?
Richard Marquand, thank you.
Yes.
I think script-wise, this is very similar to A New Hope. This is like, I mean, it's comparing a film that was comparing, but like Force Awakens and then Rise of Skywalker.
Right. So what the MCU does and how they're able to pump out movies so quickly is what the MCU does is they plan movies around big set pieces. They're like, okay, we want Iron Man to save people falling out of a plane. Let's build a movie around that, build to that. We'll have a scene before that, a scene after it, make it work. That's what this movie feels like, is they had all the scenes in mind they wanted to do, and then how would we get to all these scenes was what the script was.
Yeah, like they
right.
wanted to have the Darth Vader moment at the end where he take this mask off. I want to see with my own eyes. You know, that one, and they had the Emperor with the lightsabers over his face. They wanted that. The screenplay
That
was
shot,
very strong. By Lawrence Kasdan did the screenplay for this. He did it for Empire. He did it for Raiders. He
also did it for Force Awakens, I believe.
for Solo too.
If I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, he did Solo. I don't know about Force Awakens too. He wrote those ones though. He wrote Force Awakens. He
Yeah.
wrote Solo, but he did the screenplay for these ones.
Yes.
Very cool. So that's why it feels good, because George Lucas didn't do the screenplay. That's why it looks good.
Well, I think, and I will even say, as good as George Lucas is, I mean, you already talk about how he was so preserved in his craft. He doesn't want to start the film with the director. Like, that's how committed he is to making this world seem so seamless. But I think him being reined in is not necessarily a bad thing. And I think that's what even 4, 5, and 6 were. And then the prequels were a lot of, oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Is it a good idea?
Let me hit the
No?
gas.
It's a lot of
Let's go
yes.
100
It's
on
a
that.
lot of
Yeah.
yes men. And we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, we get there.
But this one, even now, I still have like, there are some issues. There are some issues with them. But anyway, to circle way back around, I love it. This time around, I think I may actually improve my initial score.
I was
I'm not
hoping.
gonna lie.
I saw you log it on Letterboxd from 2 years ago, and
I
I'm like, oh, that was a little low maybe for me.
so the older I get, the more I appreciate the things I used to like. You know, like, well, the things I grew up with, I should say.
Right.
Like, I just notice more and I appreciate more. And not that I don't have problems with the movie. It's just there is so much good. And the Star Wars fan that I am, like,
Yeah, you grab onto the
you
good.
can watch this as a sequel to the first two, but it also
This is a great
so much
standalone.
more emotional if you've seen the prequels. Like, Darth Vader gets much more. There's so much more substance to his character after you've seen 1, 2, and 3 than there is in 4 and 5. In 6, that's where it really. And I was listening to the podcast. The Rebel Force Radio did a commentary, and Sam Witwer, who is a fan of the Ewoks, by the way,
Shout
he
out
likes
Sam.
that one.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sam Witwer. And he said an interesting experiment, which I have never tried before, is to watch 4 and 5, then go back and watch
Oh, it's like
1,
the
2,
Hatchet
and 3.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then watch 6. Because you are introduced to all this stuff, the brilliance that is the first 2, and then you get all the backstory, and then you go into the 6th one, and it's like, whoa.
Hatchet Order. That's what
So
it's called.
I think because we're
Machete
doing
order.
it this way, we have to watch it in release order. But
Yeah.
the next time I watch Star Wars, that's going to be
That's
how
gonna be how you do it. Yeah.
That was a pretty classic way to watch it when all 3 of the prequels were out. People were like, all right, now how do you watch these? Do you watch these chronologically? Do you watch them release order? And then there was machete order, and it was just like that.
I didn't know there was a
Yeah,
name.
so
for it. Interesting.
I learned about this in middle school because we had this like extracurricular day where all the kids who didn't get in trouble got to have this after school activity as a reward. And my social studies teacher was a huge, shout out Mr. Perez, huge Star Wars guy, Star Wars tattoo, all the Star Wars memorabilia around the social studies room. And his activity for after school, you could pick between all these different ones like crafts or whatever, but stupid stuff. And then he proposed,
Hatchet order
we watched Star Wars in the Hatchet order. And basically it was just him
for after school
ranting for half an hour. He was ranting for half an hour about Star Wars and just how great it is and the Hatchet order and how he proposed all these different orders. You can watch the movies. You can skip. You could skip 2 because we don't care about 2.
Yes.
It was so awesome. And it's like burned in my memory as one of the most. And he was talking about how he was born the year Star Wars 1 came, or A New Hope came out. So he like always had Star Wars in his life, and he grew up with all the toys and all the movies. It's just so cool.
Because like right at this age, if you're born 77, then you're what, 6 when this one comes out. And these guys at work, I talk with the assistant principals at my job a lot, and they talk about the moment in the theater seeing Luke Skywalker roll up in all black. Like, this is all I have to say. I'm like, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? And they go, when Luke pulls up in all black in Return of the Jedi.
It was a huge deal.
That's Star Wars right there.
It was.
Yeah. That's why I watched this movie so many times. It's just the Tatooine segment because I didn't make it too far into these movies. I can remember maybe getting to the Ewok scenes.
That's funny.
But the Tatooine scenes, those are sick.
Whenever we would watch this movie with my dad, we would always start it after the Emperor.
Same here.
Same for you?
Oh, yeah.
We'd always start it after the Emperor gets to the Death Star.
No way.
And I never knew why. Same with you, Ben?
That's crazy.
Do you want to reveal why to the fans listening?
For me?
For you guys. Yeah.
Well, for me, we always did it because it would skip over Princess Leia.
Yes, that is exactly why we did it.
We rewound it. We went right back. We did a double take on that one. My dad was like, oh.
Well, because the first time we watched it was with my mom. And she was like, isn't Carrie Fisher in a bikini in this one? And Dad was like, what? Yeah. Dad was like, he was totally like,
well, yeah. I mean, but it's Carrie Fisher.
You're missing out on the beginning. Of the movie.
It's Star Wars. Yeah. I found out this week. So I watched. Hi, Rebecca. We watched Spider-Man this week. You don't have to come over. It's okay. We watched Spider-Man 1 this week, and Rebecca was not allowed to watch them, so this was the first time she was allowed to watch it. And I was like,
same here.
Why was I allowed to watch it? So we called my mom, and she was like, well, we put it on because, it's a superhero, and how bad could a superhero movie be? And you get to these scary parts with Green Goblin, and then there's multiple times in the movie, Rebecca said that, quote, Mary Jane's boobs were out.
They were.
I think there were another character in this movie, according to Rebecca.
Well, listen, hey, the rain scene, it's basically see-through.
And my mom's mentality for us watching movies after that was, oh, well, they already saw it, so it's not like you can take it back, so just watch it again.
Eventually, my mom came to that one, too.
Yeah. And it was the same thing with the other Spider-Man movies. Like, Green Goblin was scary. That was her main thing, was that Green Goblin was scary.
I'm glad you knew, Ben, why you couldn't watch the beginning, because I never knew why Dad always skipped to the beginning. I'm like, Dad really, really hates Jabba's barge. Like,
that stinky slug.
What are we... Yeah, and then one time, I remember we built a fort, and it was me alone. I popped in the VHS and the tube TV, and I watched the beginning of...
You little rascal.
I watched Return of the Jedi, the beginning of it. And I'm like, wow.
Which one was it?
It was this one, right in the middle.
This one?
Yes, it was this
Yoda?
Yep.
The 1995 VHS.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one we had. And I popped that in. I'm like, that was really cool. But then I still didn't know why Dad wouldn't let me watch it. And that night he was putting me to bed. And I would think I was like 10 or something. And I'm like,
you're like, Dad, Leia's hot.
No. I was like, Dad, I watched the beginning of Return of the Jedi. And my dad like grabs me. He's like, thank you for telling me.
Why you little... Yeah,
And
when I was a kid,
it wasn't until like 5-10 years later when I was like, that makes sense. That's why he wanted to preserve the innocence. I don't know.
It clicked for me this time watching it. So growing up, I didn't care about Princess Leia wearing a bikini. Like it just wasn't even on my radar that it was a thing to be obsessed over, right? And watching this for the first time with fresh eyes. What's his name? The little Yoda, not Yoda guy.
Salacious B. Crumb.
Crumb. There's that shot of him looking down at Leia, gawking over her body. Growing up, watching that, I was like, "Oh, he's looking at Jabba's tail flopping around."
No, you
because that's exactly what I was looking at. It's the center of the shot. You know, he's looking down. The tail's moving.
It's true. You don't, as a kid. Like I watched it I think when I was 6 or 7, and you're not thinking of that
and I was like,
you're too young.
And even now, I was like, oh look, it's Jabba's tail and it's moving. Oh, right. Princess Leia's in the shot. That's what he's looking at.
Yep.
I didn't notice that until this time watching because
Rebecca doesn't buy it.
As a kid, as a kid, every single time, I was like,
"What are you looking at?"
Oh, it's just
Jabba's tail.
Sure you are.
No, for real.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it because I was the same way. Yes. I was just mad because I was like, come on, do we have to see how bad could it be?
Yeah,
that's what.
And as a kid for Spider-Man, like I was scared of movies, but if I didn't comprehend what was actually going on, like with Green Goblin, I wasn't immersed. I wasn't like fully invested in this film. I wasn't paying attention to it. So the scary elements weren't scary. The sexy parts of Leia weren't sexy because I didn't even understand what that was.
Yeah.
Well,
and now watching it,
in the context of
now I understand.
No. In the context of the trilogy, though, it's kind of like a huge punch to her character.
Interesting choice.
Because she's such a strong character throughout, and it's kind of really degrading to see her in that form. Like Jabba is, because we've had this build up to Jabba. Because if you saw the original edition of this, you don't have Jabba in A New Hope. So this is your first reveal of Jabba, the massive, intricate puppet that is Jabba.
6 puppeteers for this guy.
Like, okay,
with air conditioning built into it. Crazy.
Yeah, this big Jabba the Hutt slug kingpin of Tatooine, bounty hunter empire, whatever. Like, okay, this guy sucks. This guy means business. He takes our lead female hero and degrades her to this level. It's really if this watch, I'm like, oh, that sucks. That hurts. But you're like, what was George Lucas doing though?
And it's interesting too because it's the same screenwriter as Raiders and Raiders has a very strong
that's
with
true.
Marion.
But even that, it to me, it emphasizes how truly scummy Jabba really, because you get the emphasis that when she goes and he pulls her to him and he's on she's on her, you literally feel repulsed because you're like, oh my god, it's so disgusting.
Yeah, I think Rebecca got the ick from Jabba.
Listen, I don't blame her because it's a disgusting
when
creature.
he's pillowy on the belly and
right, she
that reminds you
almost lounges on him.
And they do such a great job of making him not feel like a puppet. He's always got this living slime coming out of his mouth or his nostrils and just snot dripping, and he's gross. His eyes are such intricate puppets. Each part of him is a puppet on its own.
Yeah,
very, very cool. That's another thing about this movie. It's so good at making puppets, at making these special effects
suits,
that it doesn't have the charm for me. It's crazy. I feel crazy saying this, but it doesn't have the roughness.
Alien in NASA spacesuit on Tatooine in the cantina. You think the work put behind it is too?
It's crazy because
well
even Yoda, masterful puppetry in this.
You don't even realize it goes in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
the quality here is tremendous.
So let's talk Yoda since we're on
yes,
Yoda,
we do
because
he's the one on the cover.
He is the one on the cover,
and he has the least screen
and
time.
He initially wasn't in the movie, but there are 2 reasons they threw him into the script. One was they wanted to have some connection between the last film, and they're like, Yoda's a great piece for that. And then 2, they thought kids watching, and even James Earl Jones says this, they didn't believe Darth Vader was Luke's father. So they needed our trustable, trustable. Is that a word?
Sure.
Yeah.
Trustable
We needed
little friend
The
Yoda
many truths.
to confirm that he is your father.
I love
Yes.
the whole scene on
Oh,
Dagobah.
it's so good.
It is so good. I love how Obi-Wan breaks it down for him afterwards. He's like, Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
Yep.
And that raises so many questions as to what the truth is. Because he says, Luke, once I die, you are the last of the Jedi. And what does that mean for Ezra? What does that mean for Ahsoka? What does that mean for all these people that are in extended canon that haven't been introduced, that are in the books, even in Legends? Like, what does that mean?
Leia too is Force sensitive, so
Yeah.
it's a lot like.
So what makes a Jedi here? Is the last step to being a Jedi to confront Vader?
And I can explain it. It is at that point in time, and Dave Filoni has done a lot to make that line still work with his Jedi that are still alive. Ezra is in a different universe, galaxy. Yoda does not really. To him, Yoda's dead, even if Yoda.
I guess
is
Ahsoka says,
just
"I'm no Jedi."
Force sensitive. Is she not a
Ahsoka
Jedi?
is not a Jedi.
She says, "I'm no Jedi."
I am no Jedi.
Yes, she does
That's
have
a
that
pretty
iconic-
big
so-
part of her character.
Yes, she is no Jedi. So technically, as far as you have Cal Kestis. I think you mentioned him. What happens to him? He technically
should have
would
mentioned
to
him.
die. So
Leia wouldn't count either.
not at that moment.
But I feel like Cal Kestis would have started this whole Jedi Order or something.
Well, but
How about little broom boy?
Yeah.
But that's the
What about little room boy?
Let's not talk about Blue Boy. But you have to realize, like, that would be him saying, okay, there are no future Jedi either, if that's how you take it, because Leia should. Well, we get to should. There is a potential future set for her to become a Jedi and train in the ways of the Force. Whether or not that's followed up is
another
sequels, but in this movie, there's definitely hints at that. And as Yoda is saying this, I'm watching this with Sam, and the whole scene ends, and Luke's face is like, and Sam goes, "That's my face the whole conversation." I'm like, "Wait, because what?" And she goes, "I didn't understand a word Yoda just said," and I'm like, "A word he just said?"
There were a
In
couple
that
lines.
scene?
There were a couple lines where this was the first time I understand everything that he said.
I'm like, let's
Understood.
turn on the dialogue here. This is like the most important
the
stuff.
subtitles.
You have to understand this stuff.
Yeah.
I love the line that Yoda gives. He's like, unexpected this is, and unfortunate. Unfortunate that I know the truth? No. Unfortunate that not ready for the burden you were. Like, I love how it's not just that we were keeping the truth from you. It's that you truly, in Empire, you were rash. You were not ready for the realization that Darth Vader was your father. The only way you could have gotten out of that is some miracle, and the miracle happened. So he wasn't ready for that. He was not.
The Yoda line that clicked for me this time was, growing up, I never knew what he said here. It was, told you did he? Told you did he? Like,
Yeah, he does say it like that. That's true.
I go, huh?
What? Yeah, he's so upset. He's like, "Oh, he told you that slimy Anakin."
And that understanding Yoda's dialogue there, which is crazy that it was added as like we got to please the kids. It's the most important part of this trilogy, I feel. That connects
moment?
it. This is the one that bridges the gap between
Your father he is.
the trilogies, I feel. Like, this is the reason why we have the prequel trilogy, is because of these scenes
well, that's
with
because
Yoda
you didn't
and
watch
Obi-Wan.
the special edition where you get the cool the Binkses celebrating.
Oh,
Yeah, it's true. You do have the Jar Jar Binks
But-
celebrating.
On Naboo.
Ben is resident lore master. What is because whenever Darth Vader is talking to Luke, and we see that Luke is a great Jedi now, Vader's always like, Obi-Wan has taught you well. From what we've seen in the movies, Obi-Wan taught him like very, very little. So where does Luke's training come from? Is that all from
Legends, he's a Force ghost on
himself?
Dagobah a lot, right?
It's a great question, and one that never has really been fully answered.
My headcanon was always, okay, between Empire and Return, he goes back to Yoda and he gets more training from Yoda. But no, in this scene, you see like this is their first time interacting since that moment.
Yeah.
So what what has he done that you say that's left open?
It's he does a lot himself with the use of their Force ghosts, but a lot of it is just him coming into his own. And that's a lot of what his character is in this movie. You see he has the all black Jedi robes. A lot of that is a conscious choice, not just by the creators, but by Luke himself.
It's a Sith.
This is who I am now. I am going to be more like my father. And if you've seen the prequel trilogy, Anakin wears all black too.
Yeah.
But the choice of color, to the uninitiated, you go into this and you're like, wait a minute. And the first thing Luke does is when he walks in, he force chokes the Gamorreans.
Mm-hmm.
Only Vader has done that up to this point. And so you are meant to think, is Luke going to turn to the dark side? There was the title, was originally Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
His faith, his use of the Force, or what side he falls on, is totally in question up until the moment where he says, no, I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi like my father before, which is one of the best moments in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But up until that moment, it's always in doubt, especially when Luke is just bashing on Vader.
Yeah, I noticed, I actually said this aloud in our watch through, was the lightsaber combat in this is very reminiscent of what we see with Kylo Ren in the sequels. Very
Yes. Aggressive.
Hammering and aggressive. Yeah.
Not refined.
Unrefined.
Right,
and
you see, I mean, no one, like they had Jedi temples back then. There was a reason that they could fight so elegantly is because they're trained in that way. But this is like Luke has a little floaty
He's
droid.
just going, right? Think about what training Luke's had in lightsaber combat.
yeah, there are
Nothing.
3 distinct eras of lightsaber combat. You have like the prequel combat where they're jumping around and they're slashing, but it's still very refined and very trained. Then you have the more dueling combat of the original trilogy in episode 4 and 5. And then in 6 and sequels, you have this just battering of lightsabers like they're long or
like
short swords.
Baseball bats.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've always respected that. Even when the sequels came out and everyone was bashing on those fights, I liked that because
I loved the lightsabers.
These guys didn't get raised in like Jedi temples. They don't have that training.
Well,
I mean,
Kylo
whatever.
did.
Yeah, but he left the-
He learned from who? From battering ram Luke.
Luke
So
Skywalker. Yep.
Luke,
That's
you
true.
must.
I like seeing the training in combat like degrade. I think it's kind of a cool thing to track. But Ben, resident lore master Ben here, Force Ghost logic
What can they do?
and Force Ghosts in general. How do they work? Obi-Wan sits down on a log.
Yeah, you can do that. I can see
How is Vader a Force Ghost?
So I'll make this simple because I have thought this too, and it's never been totally defined. That's another thing that just Lucas never, even in Last Jedi, what are Force Ghosts technically capable of? I choose to take it as every time we see Ben, Luke is there. So when you see these Force Ghosts,
Can
it's
only
as
Luke
much of a
see them?
connection
Yeah.
between the two as it like how can these Force Ghosts appear? I don't think, and this is my headcanon, obviously it's not. I don't think they can appear to just anyone. You have to have some type of force
Because I
ability.
love Sam Witwer has a great quote talking about this. The guy who voices Darth Maul, Ben mentioned him
that.
earlier.
And he establishes
But-
what canon is.
But he's a really in tune guy, and I love the way
Yeah.
he
Oh, yeah,
talks
he's great.
about it. He talks about how as Luke grows in the Force through this trilogy, the way he can communicate with Obi-Wan increases.
That's
too,
what I was going to
because-
say.
Yeah,
Yep.
in the Trench Run, it's only a voice, and then in Empire, you see a very faint
Yes.
shadow of him, and then you can see him on Dagobah. But then in this,
And
it's
he's
like
clear as day. It's like
he's clear as
there,
day.
right?
He's interacting with the surroundings, so I like that a lot. But so Force Ghost, so that final shot when Luke's looking at him is only he seeing the 3.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That is how I see it.
Yeah.
Only he
That
would
makes
be able
sense
to
to
see
me.
maybe Leia, but I don't think she's as strong.
But which
Her
3?
midichlorian count is quite low.
That's true.
Ben, which 3
3?
is he seeing?
Which 3 is he
Is
seeing?
he
It
seeing
depends on
Hayden
the version.
Christensen, Anakin sitting there?
Yeah.
Or is he seeing Sebastian Shaw
Yeah.
sitting there? Or is
Yeah,
he seeing the version that fades from Shaw to Hayden?
Whoa, wait,
version
was
is
that a
he-
version?
That was a version.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You
Was
can
that a
find
version?
It. Yes, I remember in one of the versions it does that.
I don't know.
I've
We
never
might have
heard
to
of that
check
one.
our
Look
facts
it up.
on that
I think
one,
you're
man.
crazy.
I'm not crazy.
I don't know.
So
I don't
Sebastian Shaw, Force Ghost pops up, and Rebecca's like, "Who's that?" Like, it's the guy from the last scene where he takes the helmet off,
So,
and he's,
Ben,
that's Anakin.
I have always hated this change that George Lucas does, and I have something
Oh, he's brought
to
resources,
help.
folks.
No, so this is from Micah's shelf, but I just want to say this because I've always hated the special editions.
Which one is this? This is the 95.
This is the 95. These are the theatrical ones. Okay,
Yeah.
It says this. The appeal of Star Wars. This is a quote from George Lucas. He says this. The appeal of Star Wars has gone beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I am pleased for the final video release of Star Wars in its original version. We can present this with the best sound and picture quality available, thanks to THX digital mastering. So he says this though. It says here, wait, I read it. Yeah. We can present you with the best version of this, right? The original. Why am I having a hard time reading this now? I read this earlier.
The final video release. It's the original.
Right. He says he wanted to present this.
This is the
original way, right? The way it was intended.
Well,
Intended, not the original theatrical.
But I want to ask you, Ben, why is Hayden Christensen Force Ghost not a terrible thing? How does it make sense in Star Wars?
Man.
Why does it work?
I think
and
it
then
works.
I will tell you why it doesn't.
So it's definitely a point of contention, 100%. Wherever you fall on this is really up to whether or not you are a fan of the first six or you are an OG purist, I would say. That is where you fall. If you are like, this is my Star Wars, this is like you are, Sebastian Shaw I can see as being the guy. To me, that is the wrong choice. Reason number one, exactly the reaction we just had from Rebecca. Who is that? Who is that?
If you're watching 1 through 6, you won't know who that is.
No.
And even now, like,
and
who is that?
I understand your gripes because
think
we've talked about
you
this
can
many
infer,
times.
You can go,
100%.
That's the guy who we just saw die.
But
that's
it is
Anakin.
so much more effective with Hayden Christensen.
Mm-hmm.
The guy you grew 3 movies and you watched fall and the Vader helmet go on him shows up for one last scene at the end of Return of the Jedi.
I think it's even baked into
That's
the script.
the first reason. The second reason, it makes more sense in the canon.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, Hayden Christensen, Vader, is 44 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Shaw looks like he's 72. Too old. Reason number 3, it just makes more sense lore-wise. You have proclaimed that I have proclaimed that I am a self-master.
You got some back and forth there.
A self-proclaimed lore master. To do this, if you are going to go from the light side to the dark side, Darth Vader is redeemed. The last time he was truly a part of the light side, the biggest manifestation of himself on the light side, that is Hayden Christensen. And when he turns back into him in Return of the Jedi, that is a return to form, a return to how he was. Now, whether or not Force Ghosts can change their appearance, that's still up for debate. But for so many reasons, I love Hayden being that guy there. Yeah. That, to me, is why I like seeing Hayden as the Ghost. It ties everything together perfectly. It bridges the gaps. I see this as one complete story, 1 through 6, and right there, it's just a really nice beat, and for all the other reasons I mentioned.
And you know what? I think Obi-Wan sums it up pretty well when I said this line before, but the truths we cling to depend greatly on your point of view, right? So your father
That's true.
was seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be the Jedi Anakin Skywalker and became the Sith Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed. That is the end of Anakin. So that begs the question, is George going to go back and is he going to refilm the helmet removing scene with Hayden Christensen? Will he do it?
No.
I would flip.
I also would kind of be a little like, that's too far.
He's already removed the eyebrows.
That's
from
a
that
little
scene.
too much.
Yeah.
Yes, which makes more sense.
Ben, I think you presented your case very well.
Yes, go.
No, I mean, you did it great. I can't rebuttal that too much. My just thing, it always plays icky when it comes to Vader's like redemption, right? This was the version he was at when he came back to the light side. That's the version that it was initially when he was a Force ghost. So I like it being that way, because redemption to me doesn't work if you're older Anakin, you're redeemed, but then you're Force ghost young Anakin. No, you are the purest version of yourself after you've been through your entire journey, and you're where you sit at the very end, right? Old Obi-Wan is Force ghost Obi-Wan. You don't have CGI Yoda in there, right? Those are their old forms when they die. Yeah, they've been through some things. Even in the Obi-Wan show, we see him go through a little arc in the Force, and maybe he's not as rich as he was in the prequel era. So that's just my thing with it. Like, it negates redemption because that's the journey. That's what a redemption journey is. You have to go through everything. And he's where he is at the end, where he is because of everything he's been through. Yes, he made a lot of mistakes, but I mean, it's Christianity through and through, right? So
I knew you'd say something.
I know,
But
right?
to me, there is no difference. I totally agree with what you're saying, but it's still that guy.
It's just
still
that. It's
guy,
just that.
You know?
Yeah.
It's still Padme before she dies. There's still good in him. There's good in him. I know. And there is. And then you see that at the end. And there's actually a really funny line that Hayden, when he filmed that scene, he said, I didn't really know what I was doing. George Lucas just put me there, and he said, just kind of look around. And if I had known what I was doing, I would have played that way different. So that was...
I love that. George Lucas doing things, and people are like, what are you doing?
He's like, all right, Hayden, go up there and just do something.
Just stand
then Hayden just goes,
you look handsome, look charming. Do your thing, Hayden. The fans will woo.
But speaking of Padme, there was a line that stuck out to me in this film, and it's Leia just spitting crap.
Plot hole?
Yeah, just
Plot hole question mark?
Leia, you have no idea. You have no idea. Luke's like, hey, Leia,
you remember?
Do you remember any of your mom? And she's like, just images, just feelings. What?
And here, I have an answer for that as well.
Go, Ben.
Retroactively, you can say obviously Lucas didn't plan that out as well as he did.
Come on, Lucas.
But you could say, and this is just the Force, but you could say technically that Princess Leia, just as she says, I know, somehow I've always known that they were siblings. You could say that the Force, even as a child, has given her visions of Padme. And since, maybe if you want to bring genders into it, they're both female. The sister would have a closer connection to the mother than the brother would. But
all headcanon, though.
But it is all headcanon. But that's where I go to, where I'm like, Luke, who grew up on a sandy planet, maybe with not the most loving parents, doesn't have any of that. Yeah. And Leia, who grew up with loving parents in a castle, who had nothing but time to do whatever she wanted, would have thoughts like that. Just images, feelings, really, like she says in this one. That's how I see it.
You know what's not headcanon, though, is, so you mentioned the line, I've always known. Did she always know when she was macking with her brother?
Did she know when he was making out? Come on. Come on.
Check this out, Han.
Maybe it was right after that she was like, oh.
But you do
that began the always.
Right after. At the end of that scene, Luke leans in and kisses her cheek.
In that scene?
But that's more of a... I think that's to make up for the kiss before.
And we talked about how Han Solo was kind of written into this last minute, and you feel that in the script. But also it gives him just... Because he's just along for the ride in this one, and that's kind of fun. You get Han just... Luke and Leia have their scene, and he's just like...
Yeah.
Luke? He's the guy? Huh? You just want me to leave? You got a big old crush on Luke? Because then even Lando and Chewbacca or not Chewbacca, but Lando and whatever that dude's name who flies the Falcon.
Yeah. Oh man.
They're not even in the Falcon. Falcon pronounced
nice
properly as we learned last week. But yeah, Han Solo is just kind of like, I mean, the gif of him like this, that's him this whole movie.
Hey, it's me. Come on. Dude, that's good
What
stuff.
do we so we're here. What do we think of Endor? Endor, the storyline in Endor,
Yeah.
the characters on Endor.
The whole plot seemed to go by very fast for both Empire and this one. I don't know if it's just because I'm so comfortable with these movies, but
Well, this one
did
they
it
spent
feel
like
really fast for you guys?
I think pacing wise, this one's super quick.
It is.
Like the
Yeah.
especially with the runtime. This one's what, like 217, 211, maybe
214 was it was for me. Yeah.
So this one's breezy. Like you'd expect the finale to be a little longer, and they spend, I think, like the first 37 minutes on Jabba's barge. Then when that ends, that's when the rest of the movie kicks off. So I do think this could have been longer, and you feel like even with the opening crawl, it's like the Empire's made a new Death Star. You're like, okay, all right, let's see what they do with this, and then they kind of yada over that. Like the first Death Star took what 20-ish years to build. This one they're just really far along, and they've learned a lot for sure. Ben, what do you have to say?
So here's something though. Consider this, and this is just headcanon. Consider this: both Death Stars were being built at the same time,
I do like that. Yeah,
because this Death Star is much bigger than the first one. It does beg the question: how did they do this in 4 years?
You know what? I
the
like
first
that.
one. It was
And
20.
where did this huge military come from?
I love making excuses for Star Wars when I can.
that
and
works.
this is one.
I
Because there is
I
no
like that.
explanation.
There is. They're right. It's let's build. There was a Lego short that I used to watch. I forget what it was titled, but it was Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. I have a new idea to crush the rebels. We shall build another Death Star. And Vader's like, best idea ever. I don't want to piss you off, like
That makes sense too if this is, because it's an assembly line. You'd think like all the people they have locked up on Andor all those years, they were pumping out parts for the Death Star. It makes sense, especially with their Star Destroyers that they have, like, which the space battle in this movie super cool.
Oh,
like they
this
have
is the
so many
first
of them.
time it feels like Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
this is a war in the stars.
And I
So great. And like seeing it from afar from the Death Star, super sick.
Yep.
I love the way that they cut between the three. That I think that is really strong, and kind of like some people get a little problematic with that, with like the conflicting tones, but I think it's what Lost does so well when you get to a Lost finale.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yep.
here we
No,
go.
no, he's right, he's right.
But
I'm with
Lost
Ethan on this
Lost
one.
mirrored Star Wars with this, where I think each quest, all the characters I love are in different areas throughout the galaxy. It's all so time sensitive. You see Luke look out the window, and Palpatine's like, "Your friends are dying," and then Akbar's like, "It's a trap! It's a trap!" So
Yeah, dude.
I love the way that's edited and the way it flows together. And yeah, like maybe you'd want to sit with Vader and Luke a little longer, but I think the way it works is presented really well on screen. But Endor, what do we think of Endor, and specifically our little furry friends,
The teddy bears,
the
the
teddy
Ewoks.
bears, the Ewoks.
Originally supposed to be Wookiees
Yeah.
in the original script. I wish it was.
I guess they
Not
just
gonna
had
lie.
an excess of small people running around, and
So
they had to. It was the cast of Willow
yeah.
running around, and they had to use them somewhere.
yes. This is, there's a lot to say on the Ewoks, because does it work? Does it not work? You talk about magic, Micah.
Mm.
To me, all I see is midgets in furry suits. Like it's
Short people, Ben.
short people.
Correct.
Sorry to be politically correct here.
Statured.
I just it's too much. Like I can go find that at a store. I can go find
You
that
can
costume at a store. It takes
What kind of
The-
stores are you shopping at, Ben?
it takes the realism out of it just a little bit, because I know exactly how that is.
So
And Star
why does Chewbacca work and a Ewok doesn't?
Yeah, because he's just a tall guy in a
He's just a tall
furry
guy in a
outfit.
furry suit.
I've never seen a Chewbacca. The only time I've seen a Chewbacca is in Star Wars.
So you're saying that they resemble a teddy bear too much?
They resemble it too much. It's. I mean, I feel like I've seen it before in real life.
like Fozzie Bear
And-
running around.
A lot of Disney Plus recently has had certain elements. When you take me out of that and you remind me of my real life, the boring real life I have. No, I'm in Star Wars right now. I'm in Star Wars right now. This is where
And
I want to
Ewoks
be.
do that for you.
The Ewok, they do. It's, and also, and Emperor Palpatine says it. All right, an entire legion of my best troops is on the ground right now, about to capture the rebels.
All 6 of them.
And this is like, it's just,
Listen,
they're teddy bears, they're Ewoks, and they take down the stormtroopers. If it was Wookiees, it would be way more believable.
sure, it would, but also like, come on,
It's fun.
It's fun. It's like this. I think is still the most fun Star Wars movie. Like I love like the speeders on Endor, the scout troopers. I'm a big fan of the Ewoks. I've never hated them. I was even talking to producer Parker last night, and he was like, I have no idea like how, like it just felt like we woke up one day and then everyone hated the Ewoks. I've always enjoyed them, and I get people think they're annoying or they take you out of it, but this is their home turf, right? You are the Galactic Empire. You walk into Endor. I think in my Letterboxd review, I compared it to if you were going into the ocean to fist fight sharks. Yeah, you're gonna lose. So you're going into Endor to fight Ewoks. You're gonna lose. I don't care how big and bad you are, Galactic Empire. This is their home turf, and I gotta say it: the scene with Chewbacca and the Ewoks commandeering the AT-ST. That is
Great.
pure Star Wars to me. I love
Without
that.
the Ewoks, I think that we would have had an uniconic final act in this. Like half of it would have been uniconic because without the Ewoks, if there were just Wookiees, okay, now we've got more Wookiees. The episode 3 and
Kashyyyk does
Kashyyyk
it. Yeah.
stuff wouldn't have been.
They go back and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, they
so-
go back and do the Wookiee thing, and I think that's all right. I think we needed to see a new species introduced. I like it. I'm not super negative on it. I'm not super positive on it, but I couldn't have Return of the Jedi without my little Ewoks. They do some of the same bits that they did with Yoda in episode 5, like the food thing, right? Give him a little bit of food, see what he does, and give him a reaction to a human object. Oh, it's just a helmet, But you know what? I think that's what makes Return of the Jedi such an accessible movie for everyone. It's a self-contained film. You don't need to watch 4 and 5 for this one. It's not like 5 where you have to watch another entry or even 2 entries to get the full enjoyment out of 5. 6 is its own thing. It's got amazing complete acts. Each act is its own story. And that's great. I love that about this movie. You can turn on any part of it, watch it for like 20 minutes, and it can be an experience in its own. And I think that's maybe why I watched it so much.
Yeah, regardless of what you think of.
Does that make
the
it a better
story,
movie? I don't know.
Yeah. To me, this is the most iconic one.
Yes.
From like just all the elements. You have something for everyone. You have the Luke confronting his father and rejecting the dark side. The Emperor, you get Palpatine in there for the first time. You have fun Ewoks for the little kiddos. You
This
have
is the
epic
episode
space
that makes
battles.
it family friendly.
Yeah, and you have a little Leia stuff for horn dogs. You got something for everyone in this movie, and
For the kids to just fly over
yeah,
their heads.
definitely for me. I like it a ton.
Yeah, you did.
The movie,
So
not the.
and we'll transition right into the fight and the end sequence. But when that is so good, and it is, guys, the final duel in this movie is one of the best ever.
Sister.
Sister,
You have a sister.
but that happens.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, he knows. And then they cut back to an Ewok, and they're running around Endor. It's such a tonal shift from the epicness that
They're
is
all
that.
fighting to destroy the out.
What did you
And I'm
feel
with you.
about the Ewok death? That one shot.
Oh, I think it's kind of funny.
Oh,
in a way.
funny?
Like,
You think Ewoks dying is funny?
well, in
I
a way,
like-
like it's
oh.
sincere and sweet. Like, oh, look at that.
Like
That's
they're
like
giving their lives for this cause, and you're crying. You're
again,
crying in
it's
laughter.
to me, it's teddy bears.
yeah.
It's teddy bear. Like,
They're gonna beat the
and
stuffing
a lot
out
of
you,
it,
Ben.
like when they hit the stormtroopers, it's like, and the stormtrooper falls down and dies. Like they wouldn't.
Listen,
they're
this
wearing armor.
movie solidifies why they should
know-
have never decommissioned the clone troopers, Ben.
Did
Okay?
they?
Listen,
This
that
is why.
Wait,
I
hold
agree.
on. I believe we have a clone trooper
Ooh.
in this movie.
Retroactively, another. What do you call that? A retro
Retcon.
A
retcon. There
Yeah.
we go. Thank you. Captain Rex.
Captain
does
Rex.
technically appear in this movie for 2 scenes.
Don't
I
aren't Sabine and Hera flying around too with Lando?
I
Technically,
I don't know.
'Cause I think,
I don't
What is
remember
the
that.
ghost flying around or something?
No, but I think the closing monologue of Star Wars Rebels.
You
is
know
like,
what? You might be right.
we helped fight. I know Rex for sure
been a while.
fought in the Battle of Endor,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't know if the other characters did.
Yeah, I gotta brush up on my.
I know.
Rebels
It's
knowledge.
whenever you see that old guy, you just can't help but think, "Look at Rex. Look at him
There's
go."
Rex. Right. Exactly. But we've said enough about the Ewoks. I'm not the biggest fan. It's not a big detractor.
Doesn't ruin the
for me.
movie for you.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, that's
Good.
not even close. It's just would I prefer something else? Yes, just a little bit. But the
I like
final
the
duel,
antics on Endor too.
that's where it all comes together, man. It's a perfect cacophony of epicness because you have Emperor Palpatine. This is Star Wars to me. This is something that we have missed
Oh yeah.
for a long time. You know, they tried bringing him back in the sequels. They didn't really.
They didn't try. They did.
Well, they-
Ben. Somehow they did it.
Death
somehow
speaks.
Palpatine returns. But it just these two people fighting, father and son, and then you have the evilness, the devil, you could say, in the background, trying to twist and turn at every moment, the light versus the good.
Plays with his character too.
Dude, it's it's so good. And then they have this John Williams, who we haven't mentioned yet. I don't know how, but he has this theme that was not released officially in the soundtrack. You can only get it on YouTube or whatever. It's called A Jedi's Fury. And when Vader says, "A sister," and Luke ignites his saber, he's like, "No!"
Yeah.
Right. And then this epic theme with a haunting, like a guy sings in the background. It's like a haunting vocalization. It's so, it is.
Yeah.
I was getting shivers down my spine.
In that
watching
moment, because my little brother Marcus is so like angsty, and my dad like wants him to connect with the huge moments that my dad connected with when he watched it. And when that happens, my dad's like, "Marcus, do you know what Vader just said?" And Marcus is like, and then dad's like, "He just found out he had a daughter." Like, he's like, "Come on, this is huge."
Dude,
Come on, Marcus, where are your notes?
I love how passionate Mr. Wentslaff is about
And
about
he's
the
like,
original three.
he's
That's awesome.
yeah. And the delivery, he's like, "Obi-Wan was wise to keep her from me."
Dude,
And that-
James
that-
Earl Jones, man.
Perhaps she will.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, good scene. I love that one.
I mean, that's the thing. This movie is good, but then the finale with Vader and Luke and the Emperor, that's like, that's up there with the best of the best, man. And I can see how this is many people's favorite movie. It's just as a whole, there are a few things. The
Producer
same
Parker says this is his
yeah.
favorite.
Oh yeah. There's just a lot of similarities you can draw to the first one. Not that it seems lazy.
I got a clip from producer Parker.
Do you actually?
If we want to cut that in, I was able to connect with him last night.
Let's see it.
Are we gonna listen to this?
We're just gonna listen to part of it. I'll cut it back into the podcast.
So the thing that made me first really fall in love with Return of the Jedi was when I did a marathon of the 6 Star Wars movies. And it was when I did that I realized that the Return of the Jedi is kind of the perfect conclusion to the whole saga. It wraps up Anakin's whole story, brings him back to the light side. You see also Luke in his full arc, as well as the downfall of the Emperor, the big bad across all 6 movies.
So when you watch it, you view it like exclusively as like the capper of the first 6 saga,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So yeah, that's cool because when I watch it, I view it as the trilogy capper, but I like the perspective of it being the end of that saga.
Only very recently seen people apparently hating on the Ewoks.
Yes,
I never knew people didn't like the Ewoks.
Right?
I've always loved them.
I especially on this most recent rewatch.
But I was watching a video on Star Wars the other day, and it was talking about how one of the main themes in the original trilogy is the duality between nature and machinery. Like, especially in the first movie, in The New Hope, you see the Empire is in a machine. It's in the Death Star. Darth Vader is like was he a robot? Is he a human? Yeah. We don't really know. And then
He's
on
more
contrast,
machine now than man.
yes, that exact line in the 6th movie. And we feel that means Darth Vader is evil, even though that shouldn't necessarily mean that he's outright evil. But like in A New Hope, we see Luke has his machine, the machine that the other pilots trusted in, and it didn't get the proton torpedo in the hole. But now Luke is here. He turns off the machine and uses the natural force, the force which is the core of the universe. And then in the end, you see, like, especially when Luke chops off Vader's prosthetic hand, he sees the wires. He clutches his own robotic hand, knowing that it's the mechanics in him that it's the tie to his father, and he remembers that. And then he tosses his lightsaber away and resists the Empire, as this natural connection between father and son is more powerful than the hatred that the Empire is trying to put on him.
And I had to give that love because this is one of his
sucks.
Yeah, this is one of his all-time favorite films. So yeah, people like him love it. I don't know if this is one of my all-time favorites, but it definitely was growing up.
Yeah,
it's interesting you say that. As far as lightsaber battles go, because we didn't do our lightsaber battle ranking.
Right.
This one has got to be. We do a lightsaber ranking. We're going to rank them as they come along. We have the first one, which it's the very first lightsaber duel. Let's just say that. And then we have the much improved, I think we all can agree, one from Empire Strikes Back. You know, thematically it's all there. Does Return of the Jedi, is this the best? Is this the best one out there?
Parker would put this as first place.
Out of everything.
First place.
Yes, I've talked to him. He said this one's first place.
Dude.
And that's fine. Like, that's totally acceptable.
Listen, 100% it's acceptable. Yeah. I would even, like, I don't know, man. It's definitely... As far as the first three go...
As far as, like, actual combat, because we got to factor in, like, we're factoring combat-wise, but then also script-wise and dialogue and cinematography of it. Like, this one, because the Empire one is so solid.
Mm-hmm. But for being a lightsaber battle in Return of the Jedi, there really isn't a lot of lightsaber clashing.
It's more dialogue. It's
more dialogue. It's a lot of force things, jumping around, hiding. Because he's like, I don't want to hurt you. I want to convert you to Jediism.
And even it's watching this now is so funny because you see Yoda, deflect Palpatine's lightning later, and you see Mace Windu do it, but just the way Luke is like,
convulsing, bro. Yeah.
Father, please
help me.
No.
That was not in. The no's weren't in your version, correct?
They weren't.
No, so I think
there was no no's.
Context-wise, viewing this as
he likes that word, doesn't he?
Capper of the series, how's the lightsaber duel work? How does Yoda's death work? How does Palpatine's death work?
As a capper of the series, this is a perfect way to end it if you watch 1 through 6, because you've already seen super crazy lightsaber battles. You already had that, right, in the prequels, and then you had a little bit more in 5. So you got the taste, right? And even as a trilogy capper, you got the taste in Empire. You already know what they can do. And then this one shows more of the where can lightsabers go beyond just right, back, forth. This is, all right, we got lightsaber throw. We got terrain destruction. We got jumping around, using levels, using light, using dark. This is a much more complex battle, but I don't think that makes it better for me.
Is it just me, or is Luke's blade like a foot longer
than Vader's?
No, like we didn't even talk about the green lightsaber, the way that they unveil that. But I feel like this lightsaber has always looked like there's an extra foot on it versus like the blue one that he has earlier. Just looks longer.
That could be. I never noticed it, but I've always preferred the longer sabers.
Yeah.
I feel like in Disney's ones, they've always gotten a little shorter. But
he uses this lightsaber a lot more like a long sword. He's holding it from the bottom, and he's
dude. I might have to push back. I think this might be better than the Empire's. I like this one better. I think.
I like how slow and methodical the
because how do you get better than that one shot between Vader and Luke?
Yeah.
In Cloud City, as their blades meet. And then you have Emperor Palpatine right in the middle, the devil, and their swords clash right there with him laughing. Right, I don't know. I'm putting this as higher. So Ethan, you were the tiebreaker here. Because you did say that Empire was better,
second.
right?
I'm putting the second.
But you would say that Empire is the best.
Yeah, I would say Empire so far is the best.
So this is overall.
It's
too.
hard. It's so hard. But because we don't factor in what happens after the duel, right? Like Vader death is not part of this.
No, it would
right?
not be.
So
I would be
Just like
perfectly
the
fine with this
Vader-
being
yeah.
the best one. Though.
Yeah, like you can't
So far.
you can't factor in "I am your father"
I
into
think-
that duel.
I
Yeah.
can't factor that in.
No.
That scene.
No, because that's after.
Yeah, but I got to go this one then. I'll go this one because they're both just so good. That's the
are.
thing about them, because just Vader's dialogue in both of them is great. But I do love the way he's like, she's your sister, or you have a sister. The way he like feels that, and the cadence of his voice is like he's shocked. He's like, he was wise to keep. And then the best bit in retrospect is when Luke is on top of the stairs and he's like, Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Yes, the high
He is
ground.
the high ground.
Yes, yes. I was unveiled to that via a meme, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I love that.
mind
I love
blown!"
that. Yeah. So
what are you gonna do?
Okay.
Cut off my arms?
So I this one's the best one. Come on now.
Sure, I would accept it.
Before we get into our next categories, to end it off, is there anything else we want to say
in movie talk,
about movie talk for this one before we get to favorite scene, favorite character?
Space battle, super cool.
Really,
Love
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
B-wings, A-wings, new ship designs.
B-wing,
Yep.
sick. Thank
Really,
you, Parker.
I don't know if I would say the best ship designs, but I love that they all are letter based.
The Emperor has a completely different face mask between, like he has a weird thing in his entrance to the Death Star.
Yep.
And then it's just makeup on the last scene.
Yeah. The entrance scene is really cool too.
Yeah.
You start with Vader. Well, Vader has the first one. And then Emperor Palpatine walks down, and it goes from Vader's theme to John Williams' new Emperor theme.
He's like, the Emperor is coming here?
We should double it.
Is that your man? Is that the guy?
Moff Jarrett is not the guy I'm picking for today.
No, but he's not your guy from the last film.
No,
right?
he is. Admiral Pitt is still in this one.
He is.
But he is on Vader's cruiser. He's one of the guys who has to, too late, run! And the A-Wing crashes into the bridge, and that's how they die.
He dies.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Mhm.
I think
If only they were strong in the Force, they would have been fine.
Right, I read that
True.
they weren't going to have him in this movie, but the fan mail they got a lot of fan mail to
Really?
bring him back, and they did. I was like, I didn't even know people liked this guy until you mentioned him last week, Ben.
Wait, what's his name again?
Listen, there are Admiral Piett, Piett. There are so many characters from the expanded universe that people. I mean, Boba Fett. That's another one who just really dies. Like Boba Fett.
Where's Boba Fett?
Yeah, it's just the most unceremonious. George Lucas, I've heard rumors that he did that to literally piss off the fans who wanted so much more from Boba Fett that he was like, "Oh, these fans, they want more to see from Boba Fett than they do of the actual characters, so I'm gonna kill him off."
He's the only Imperial officer to survive more than one film and be portrayed by the same actor.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he is.
Very cool.
Which, yeah, no,
That's
he is
crazy,
good.
yeah.
But Moff Jarrett he's great because he's like, wait, what? And then Vader says, "The Emperor is not as merciful as I am," and you're like, what?
as I
Yeah,
am.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what?
It's like,
Vader's not
bro,
even
you murked everyone in the last movie. What are you talking about,
Right.
Vader?
Yeah, that's good. Gentlemen, it's time for favorite character. Favorite character in Return of the Jedi. I say this every time, but there's a lot to choose from because all of them are so good. I feel like when we get to the prequels, that saying will not be said. But
I want Obi-Wan this movie.
I want, yeah, right,
I want him.
right. But Ethan, who would you say is your favorite?
All right. There are a lot of great characters in this movie, but just because we have not selected him throughout this whole trilogy, I'm going to take him in this spot. I'm going Chewbacca.
Really?
Love the character Chewbacca.
Okay.
And he's just so fun. And he's always he's a perfect sidekick throughout the whole movie. Like, he's like, all right, I'll be pretend arrested again, just like I was in the first one. Bring me in there. But the way he holds Han after Han's out of the carbonite, you're like, oh, look at the big dog.
Yes.
It's like,
It's true.
They love he loves him like
All right, pal.
Hans's pal, and then
All right, pal.
All right.
and then he's just so like I
really-
love because he's so tall and the Ewoks are so short. I love seeing them interact, and he's great. Yeah,
That's
Go
a-
Chewbacca.
yeah.
That's
I love Chewbacca.
that's another
pick.
reason why the Ewoks couldn't have been Wookiees, because then you wouldn't get stuff like that. Big guy helping out the little guy.
Yeah.
That is true. That would not have happened.
You know, it's the true story of the Rebels. Just mismatched characters and heroes coming together to take down the big bad Galactic Empire. Yeah,
That's Star Wars right
that's
there.
Star Wars.
Micah?
There's a character that we haven't even mentioned, who has gone through more pain and loss than anyone else in this film.
Is it R2D2?
Raised from a child, a small little Rancorling.
The Rancor Keeper, bro. The Rancor Keeper.
Malakili, the Rancor Keeper, came out of nowhere. I forgot how much heart he had. I take it back. There was one thing that surprised me in this movie,
Man.
and it was just the amount, the expression. I followed him this time, like with my eyes. I watched him, his reactions, because I made sure to pay attention to him. And you see him, he's watching, he's laughing when oh, Luke, you're gonna die, and then Luke hits the button, the thing goes down, the Rancor, he dies, and then the door opens, the two buddies go out first, and Maliki is, no, get out of the way.
Right, he runs past. Right, dude.
That's Star Wars.
Genuinely, it is sad.
That's Star Wars right there. These characters that, who cares, right? Who cares?
Yep.
You give him a little bit to do, and he becomes more than that. And that character genre, like that Rancor Keeper, becomes a future development with Danny Trejo's character in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, pretty fun. It's a fun
They
little
bond
venture.
for life,
Yeah.
so that when the Rancor dies, this guy is just heartbroken.
Yeah. And that is a really, really neat feature of this movie.
Well, Micah, I was actually going to take the Rancor Keeper
got him.
as that. So you
gotta
know
think of
what?
another.
You can take the
You didn't even know his name. Malakili.
the extra character, like the small character this time, because I'll go big. I'll go big this time.
Look at him. He's so sad.
He's so sad, dude. It's
He kind of looks like you, Micah.
There's actually a Lego minifigure of him.
What is that?
You know it. I also thought about Nien Num, the pilot with Lando, because he is hilarious and just so dumb. I also thought about Bib Fortuna. He's insane. But since Micah took the Rancor Keeper, Malakili, I'm going to go with Luke Skywalker, because I think he is probably the best Jedi that has ever been, the most inspirational. I loved Obi-Wan, and even as a kid, I'd probably say Obi-Wan was my favorite, but the more I grow older, the more I appreciate Luke's journey, and the more I am so in awe of how he is in Return of the Jedi. Utterly confident. We've never seen that before. But I warn you not to underestimate my power. Just cool, calm, collected Luke Skywalker. And there is, again, I've said it before, there is nothing more satisfying than when he says, "You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father. I'll never turn to the dark side." And just how caring he is. And I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take away from our favorite scenes, because I know it'll be there. But I just, throughout the whole movie, he is amazing. So I'm choosing Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, before I can never choose him again.
I'm choosing
there'll be a
Mark
least
Hamill,
favorite.
the gargoyling Gershwin from the Muppet Show.
That's just Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
What?
Well, no. Mark Hamill in the Star Wars special with the Muppets. Yeah.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. Favorite scene in Return of the Jedi. A lot of fan favorites. Ethan.
Oh man, favorite scene. I I'm gonna do it. I've said it multiple times. I'm gonna go Chewbacca and
no
the Ewoks.
No way.
It just like I remember liking that as a kid, but it's pure Star Wars enjoyment. Seeing just these mismatched creatures operate this weird machine, killing stormtroopers. That's Star Wars, dude, and I love seeing it. It put a big smile on my face this time watching it, and I said to my dad, I'm like, this is so fun. This is just so fun. It's pure fun Star Wars. So I'm taking the scene where Chewbacca and the Ewoks are in the AT-ST, and then they pull up to Han Solo, and he's like, shoot. And that is Chewbacca. He's like, hey, old buddy, old pal.
The
love that
relief
scene.
you feel.
No, there's a lot of deep emotional scenes, but that one was like just so fun.
hit you this time.
Yeah, hit me this
in
time.
a different
Yeah.
way. Micah?
I want to say Tatooine, but that's too big of a moment.
I'll take the whole
37
movie.
minutes of
So
Tatooine.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say my favorite Lego Star Wars episode or chapter was Jabba's barge,
Oh, that was a good one.
and my
That was a
favorite
good one.
scene is in Jabba's palace. But which part? I don't even know.
It was Jedi Rocks. Oh, no, sorry, Laptee Neck, technically. You would have watched
Laptee
Laptee
Neck. I'll go with Luke's entrance into the Malakili scene. We'll say that because you get to see Luke just asserting his dominance over
Yeah.
everyone except for Jabba. He can't get through Jabba. This is the first time we see the Force not work, like that tricking of the mind,
Yeah.
and it's hinted at in A New Hope. Oh, for the weak-minded, and then you see it work on his pal. What's the dude's name? I'm sure you know it.
Which one?
With squiggly neck.
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna, yep. And then
we see
Jabba's like,
again
"You
or not?"
weak-minded fool! You will not have your Jedi mind tricks work on me, boy." Super cool.
Yeah.
I love how
Yep.
everything, all the plans are starting to. Ooh, Lando's here. Ooh, Han's meeting up with Chewie. All right, Leia's trapped. What are we gonna do about that? C-3PO still. It's cool, and it just sets the whole tone for the movie.
Yeah.
Amazing.
This is what you're in store
Yeah,
for.
I never realized that it was a forced choke at the beginning too. Very cool.
Yep.
From the opening of the doors to seeing the silhouette of a black garbed Luke.
Yeah.
Very cool.
In his priest outfit. Like, it's got like the white collar on it. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. And you do see in the background the little spider doodads. I loved riding around on those in the Lego games.
Omar monks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
They have
brains.
an insane backstory.
But I love C-3PO. He turns around and he's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. He does that quite often. Well, I'm glad you two gentlemen picked those scenes because I can
Then you
get
get
mine.
free reign.
I get free, pretty
the
much.
good scene.
Allow me to paint you a picture, gentlemen. There is a moment in Empire Strikes Back where Admiral, technically at that point it was Captain Piet, comes in. No, it's General Veers. He comes into Darth Vader's. He comes into Darth Vader's chamber and he sees this scarred head of Vader, and instantly there's that question. Okay, there's a man underneath. It's a man, not a robot, nothing else like that. It's a man. What the heck? And they don't show you. They only show you the back of his head. And I got to imagine for 3 years you're left wondering what could be underneath that mask. And just as an idea, unmasking a character is such an interesting thing. But you're unmasking a man who just destroyed all evil in the galaxy and who has been the big bad in all three of these movies. You've never seen his face. To most, he's been the most evil man in the world. And yet just then he redeemed himself. And Luke brings him over. Take this mask off me. Let me look on you with my own eyes one last time. And as Luke takes it off, you get this version of John Williams. He records the Imperial March with a completely different tune, and you'll never hear it again. Actually, I think they played in Rise of Skywalker, but it's a very light tune. And it's like, holy crap, as he takes the mask off of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. Now go, my son. Leave me.
Yeah.
Dude, I had tears in my
And he
eyes
hits
when I was
the ramp
watching it.
and he flips Darth
like
Vader.
in Lego, like in Lego Star Wars. Yeah, you were right about me. Tell your sister you were right. That scene will forever be my favorite scene in this movie because it is the redemption, like
good,
we
yeah.
talked about. That you live in it for one moment. And Luke genuinely, who is, no, I won't leave you. There's no way I'm leaving you. I just got you back. There's no way. And yet
It's
you
like-
made the
it's
sacrifice.
like, I need to save you. It's like, you already have.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
emotional now talking
Yeah,
about it,
and
man.
He's like, no, Father, you'll die. Nothing can stop that now. Yeah. Great scene. Is that also your favorite musical moment, Ben? Right there?
Oh, I forgot about that, man. No, my my favorite musical moment, actually, controversially,
Oh,
is Victory Celebration, the ending musical theme for
Not
many
Yub
reasons.
Nub.
Not Yub Nub. No. Well, I do have a great love for Yub Nub because that's the Lego Star Wars. They had Yub Nub. All right, I love it. But Victory Celebration
Yes.
is one of the best Star
It's
Wars
a good
orchestration.
theme, Ben. It's a good theme.
Yub Nub is good if you watch the first three. It's a nice you feel triumphant. But when you watch all six, that's not what Lucas wants you to feel.
Right.
It's a
You got to see the Binkses.
you have to feel it as a galactic wide event. This all just happened. And it's almost a bittersweet moment that you're saying goodbye to these characters. Honestly, for the last time. In my mind, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Naboo destroyed, or is it Coruscant? I'm thinking of destroyed in the sequels from Starkiller Base.
Oh, none of those planets are destroyed.
Are you sure? I thought Coruscant
Yes,
was destroyed.
Hassian Prime
Oh,
is
is that it?
destroyed. That they move capitals in the sequels
okay.
to Hosnian Prime. That's the name of it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Not
it's the
that I
first
really care
order,
about
Micah.
lore.
Come on.
But yeah. Yeah, my favorite musical moment is Victory Celebration. It's one of the best, and it was added later. It was not originally in the movie,
Trash.
but I really like Victory Celebration. That's my favorite musical moment from John Williams.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
I'm gonna take
Ethan?
one. I'm gonna take one.
Micah's got it.
it's-
Micah's got it.
It's when Luke is saying either surrender or die. Bum. Bum.
Dum. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love that.
Yes.
He's on the little diving board. Yeah.
And he does a couple jumps and he does a little bit of break dance and then it's great. I'll keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ethan?
You don't have to pick one.
I'm not going to do Jedi Rocks.
What?
Dude, what? No, dude.
No, it always the Imperial March as Vader dies. Because I love that became the menacing theme of Vader and Empire, and then you get a different rendition when he's like, "I am your father," right? You get a different rendition of it there, and then now, because it's the Vader theme, but it becomes like the Luke Vader theme together, and I like the intimacy it brings where it and it changes. And the way, because it's the beauty of music, it's the same thing, but I don't know the proper music term, but the speed or cadence or
Motif.
motif,
It's
yeah,
a
whatever.
motif that is
The
played.
motif of it changes and
Mhm.
the emotions change.
Oh, sorry.
That's not the motif.
tempo.
Yeah, but
Well, the tempo, whatever.
It's
I don't
slower,
know.
I thought you were talking about just
it's
like the
slower,
theme.
I don't know,
it's
man.
lighter.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, it's such a good moment. Many moments that this film had after this were really good. Awards, Micah, and internet scores. What did this movie do in pop culture?
There was an
I'll
internet
keep it as-
score I saw last week that angered me, but I kept it under wrap for this week.
I will
What's it gonna
keep this keep the awards brief as they are brief. Academy Award wins. It got the special achievement for visual effects. Nominated for Best Original Score, Best Art Direction, Best Sound Effects Editing. Grammys, which just happened yesterday
Nothing.
in real life. Nominated for Best Album of Original Score written for a motion picture or a television special. Just one nomination. That's it. No Golden Globes. BAFTAs got the Special Visual Effects Award, and it was nominated for Best Makeup and Hair, Best Production Design, and Best Sound. So only was that 2 wins for the whole thing?
Definitely not as much as
2
the
wins
previous.
for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And money shows too. So the budget was $32 million, almost double of what Empire had. And yet it made more than triple in its opening weekend domestically. It made $23 million. Empire made $5 million its opening weekend. Box office, it made $475 million. In the long run, it didn't make as much as the other movies. Empire was $538 million. Jedi was $475 million. It still made 14 times its budget, so still way better than any of the Marvel movies we've ever seen.
Yeah, huge success.
Crazy how even the worst of the trilogy, like money-wise, made more than anything.
And you wonder why the most hype capper trilogy movie made the least amount of money. Like, and part of that reason is because it was not in theaters as long as, especially A New Hope was. A New Hope, they kept re-releasing that.
Lived in
in fact,
yeah,
dude,
like, look at this.
Great point.
The opening
Lived in
weekend was
theaters.
almost nothing compared to what the final budget or box office was.
It was huge. I mean, even now, 797 million, that's a huge number even now. And I mean, they did that with 1970s money, which is awesome. Very, very impressive.
George Lucas, what a guy.
What a guy, man.
You
What a
said George Lucifer, didn't you?
George Lucas.
Dang. What did this movie do internet score wise? I want to hear what Ethan
All right,
found
you ready
out,
for
man.
this? Rotten Tomatoes critic, 83%, our
Not
lowest
bad.
yet. Rotten Tomatoes user, 94, our lowest yet. Metacritic critic score, 58%, our lowest yet.
Come on.
Metacritic user, an 84, our lowest yet. Letterboxd, 80% of out of 5, our lowest yet. IMDb, an 83, our lowest yet. Averaging out to an 80%, which is, say it with me, our lowest yet. Crazy.
Man.
And Hollywood Reporter tends to favor these this opinion.
The original 3?
No, not the original 3. 7th place, guys.
Ooh.
Hollywood Reporter. Under The Last Jedi.
Ew.
Under Solo.
Oh.
Under Rogue One.
Oh. Well, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's top 4 at that point. Force Awakens, Empire, A New Hope.
Oof.
Ouch. Fellas,
Hollywood
is
Reporter
this
strikes again?
is this in the bottom 3? Is Return of the Jedi in the bottom 3 for Star Wars? I would say so, according to my The Last Jedi ranking. Ouch! I gave this 6th place out of 9 when Last Jedi came out. So apparently I was in the same boat.
Wow.
Even though this was my
Worse for
most
Hollywood
watched back
Reporter?
then.
Mike, I think you just didn't know what you were doing.
I think I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Maybe because you
Like, what
watched
is-
it so many
I think I
times.
started off with, okay, yeah, there's the good ones. Oh yeah, the Return of the Jedi's in there.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where this falls in Legacy. I mean, people don't talk about Return as much. People don't talk about, even with prequels, Attack of the Clones as much. People don't talk about Phantom Menace as much.
Revenge gets a lot of
The
attention.
talk is
Yeah.
just Empire, A New Hope, Revenge, and then all the sequels
You got
for
your
no reason
Rogue
whatsoever.
One stands slip in there somewhere too.
Yeah, Rogue One is in
Yeah.
there a lot.
Yep.
I think this
no,
is just
no
the
solo
one.
apologists out there. Not
None.
really.
Not a lot of them, although
My aunt has yet to see that movie, and she's the biggest Star Wars fan I know.
I mean, clearly not.
listen, I
She hasn't
think
seen it.
I'm going to make a prediction here. I think we are sleeping on Solo.
You think we all are gonna like Solo?
I
think we're all
enjoyed
gonna like
Solo.
Solo.
I think it'll be fun.
I think we're
enjoyed
going to like
Solo.
it. I think.
My aunt heard what they did with Darth Maul in it, and that was it for her. She didn't want to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely have my thoughts on that.
I know,
for
that's
sure.
weird.
I
I thought it was cool.
Gentlemen,
time.
that's the internet score, though. It's
that
time.
Don't matter.
It's
Don't care
time.
about that.
So a lot of people say this is the worst of the original.
Yeah.
Let's find out on our end if it is truly the worst of the original 3. We're going to start off with Ethan. What's it going to be, man?
Okay. Coming into this one was my favorite growing up, and watching it, everything.
Take
that
off the goggles, man.
Right,
Yep.
everything I love about it still stands true. But I think rolling off of A New Hope and rolling off of Empire, this film is lesser from a script standpoint, from a pacing standpoint. Like, I love everything this movie tries to do. I wrote in my notes, this movie does a lot of swings. I like all the swings this movie does.
Lightsaber swings.
I just don't know if it hits everything it's trying to hit from a pacing standpoint and a character standpoint. Like,
It knew what it was trying to do, but it didn't execute it perfectly.
it didn't. No, and
Nice.
because I feel a lot of it is like, okay, we want this epic scene to happen here. We want this epic scene to happen here. And I love everything, the way it comes together. I just don't think, if we are like, we're watching these movies and we're comparing them, I don't think it's as clean of a movie as those first two. I do think I still like it the most out of the three. I still think it's my personal favorite, but I cannot reflect that in my score because I don't think it's better than Empire or A New Hope.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
That's
because, like, this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
This is so fun for me, and it isn't as smooth. Like, it feels very blocky. It feels like a lot. Like, you feel, Han's in here because last minute we could add Han, or Yoda's here because we need a scene with Yoda. And that scene's great, but like, really, Yoda's like, tired I am. Let me die now.
Shut up, Luke.
Yeah, and he dies. So that is like, it's like, okay, but then the Vader stuff is super good. I just think it kind of, as a full clean movie, it's not as clean. So it is, I would say this is the most fun one. This is my favorite one. It's not the best one. It's not the best one, so I'm going to go 9.4 with this.
Okay.
Just under A New Hope. Still, like, 9.4, that's a great score. It's just,
It is.
I need to say, like, why it's not as good as those other
Yep.
two.
You have to. It's a comparison game.
Yeah.
It for sure is. Micah?
I've been really wrestling with the score, and I feel like on a different day, a different watch, if I were more hyped, this would have been better than Empire. But I didn't want to put it higher than A New Hope. On a different day, I would have given this a 9.6. But I don't believe, in this watch through, I don't believe that this movie is deserving of a 9.6. In fact, based on my criteria of what a movie
let's dive into this.
in the nines should be, it should be exceptional. It should have many elements that make it stand out from the rest of the herd. And for me, this feels very, yes, there's great elements, but they're independent of each other. Like Ethan was saying, the pacing is weird. It feels blocky. It feels like, all right, they had this area. They needed to do the cool Luke stuff on Tatooine. They needed to do the cool stuff in the Death Star. And like visually, this movie is perfect. Like on paper, this should be the greatest Star Wars movie.
Right.
It has
It's
everything
just-
it needs.
It's yada a little in points.
It's just, I don't know. Is it too much? Is it not enough?
I think it needed to be like 30 minutes longer.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it needed to sit with these characters. It needed to give us more feeling. It needed to give us more why, right? And that's why Han Solo's rushed. That's why Padme. Well, sure, yeah. I mean, sure, yeah. The Luke and Leia conversation. Sure, Padme. That conversation.
You made it work, Micah.
Yeah, I can make that work. That seems like rushed. The Yoda stuff seems rushed. There could have been more training. I like how there's no training. I would have liked more, and we can only get that in extended universe now. Like that is set in the timeline. That is all we get. And because this movie it's not as magical as A New Hope and an Empire Strikes Back. At no point was I like, yeah, that's magical. There were some parts where I was like, oh yeah, that's epic. But then it fell more into the blockbuster territory, into the, this is a great movie. Like it's all right. That's why I'm going to give this a very respectable 8.8 out of 10. 8.8.
Okay.
It is not quite a 9 for me.
Doesn't reach a 9.
It's still amazing. And it is almost a 9. It is almost in the territory
It's right
of,
there.
this is great. I mean, I love this as a kid. It's a very accessible movie. There's a lot of things in it that are great. But Ewoks, they're on the fence, right? one more scene with them doing stupid Ewok antics, and I would have been out. Like I was on the fence. I didn't emphasize that as much in the podcast because I didn't want to.
You don't want to hurt me.
I didn't want to hurt him. But I feel like there was a lot of just ATSTs walking around and then doing the same like whoa, and that was That was Endor. that was Endor for me. But we've talked about it enough.
Did we talk about the speeders though? And
the speeders.
That scene is super cool.
Really good.
It's cool.
It's cool.
There's a lot of things in this movie that are just that was cool.
It is cool.
That was cool.
I like that. That's a good take.
Not life changing. Not in the 9s.
Yep. For me, this movie does better things than The New Hope does. It also does worse things than The New Hope. I would
agree.
Like, A New Hope is somewhere right in the middle, where it's just a better film. It's a better film all the way through. This though has some of the best moments of the whole Star Wars trilogy that we've seen so far. So I also struggle with where to put this. Originally, I always would have put this in the 8s. But upon last rewatch, I've come to really, really have a lot of appreciation for Return of the Jedi. My two major gripes are Ewoks and how samey it feels to A New Hope. The plot structure is
like poetry,
very
Ben.
the same. And I have the same complaint with Phantom Menace and honestly Force Awakens. They have, it's like the same plot structure. Now, Phantom Menace has, we'll talk about it. But it feels a lot of recycled ideas. And I feel like when George is at his best, he is trying to progress the story forward with new and innovative ideas. And this is full of them. It's just there are certain points where the script, like we've talked about, feels a little like, oh, well, let's do another Death Star, And I think I don't like when Star Wars gets samey like that. But I do really like all the stuff with Vader and Luke. It's some of the best Star Wars has ever been. So with that being said, I will give this movie also the same score I gave A New Hope, which is a 9. Because A New Hope is a better film, but this movie does a lot better, and also it does a lot worse. So they fall at the same point. They are both 9s. This is the highest I've ever gone with Return of the Jedi, though. I have gone on a journey myself with it. This used to be my least favorite one. But, I guess technically my scores kind of reflect that. I don't know. The first 3 are so good. They're all in the 9s for me. So with a 9, an 8.8, and a 9.4.
That gives us an average of 9.07.
Wow.
Just barely knocks the 9. Yeah. Hanging on by a thread there.
Nice.
Coming in third place, though.
It is in third place.
Yes. I am in agreement with this ranking so far.
I think we all are.
I like it. I like it a lot. We came in around the same general area.
Not bad, huh?
Same old say. Yeah. That I like that a lot. But next week we have the wait a minute.
We don't have the
What's this?
Hey, let me just say this, guys. So we have the Ewok films next
do.
week. Plural. They both are like an hour and a half runtime.
Caravan of courage.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you want to keep the party going and extend this to a 2-week Ewok adventure?
They're an hour and a half.
They are. Can we do both in a week?
No.
I don't want to either. Wow. Because Micah even promised us the holiday special that he would watch. So
I have to watch the holiday special too?
You promised us.
You did. You did promise us that.
I am going down a path I
So are you saying
follow.
we have to wait 2 weeks to get to the prequels now?
So what are we thinking? We don't have to.
What have I done?
I think.
What have I done?
Yeah, maybe we don't want to talk about an Ewok film for an hour, but I know for a fact I don't want to cram 2 into a week either.
I don't know, man.
Let's vote. What do we think?
Listen, whatever you guys want to do.
If I can fit them both in on one day.
To me, it's more I want to get this out of the way.
That's
what I think. I don't.
But
I
there
want
have
to
been
watch
movies
them just because I want to say I have watched them.
Some of our favorite Marvel movies were the ones we just dogged on.
Mm-hmm.
This would be 2 weeks of us just having fun.
We
before we get to the divisiveness that is everything else. What do we
That's
think?
true.
What do we think?
I would say one a week.
All
Let's
right.
do one a week.
That's fine.
Let's do it. So next week, what do we have, guys?
Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure.
Ooh!
Release November 25th, 1984. Just so you guys kind of get the idea of how small this movie was. The budget was $3 million. And which is triple the holiday special, just so you guys know.
Yes.
And the box office,
And yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
That's the box office. We have no numbers from anything else after this. So
Yeah.
it's Ewok Adventure was $3 million budget. Battle for Endor was $2 million. So they're like, yeah, no, we're not dumping $3 million into it.
Right.
But you know what's cool is that George Lucas wrote both of these.
He did. He has a writing credit for both. Yep.
Let's go.
Orchestrated
He
by
loved
Peter
his Ewoks,
Bernstein.
man. A lot of people gave him a lot of crap for making Ewoks a thing. And he was like, you know what?
I'm going to double down on him. Let's go.
I'm tripling down on him. I'm making 2 more movies. So that next week is Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure. If you're following along, you can find us on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus, yeah.
When we finish those, could we technically throw a Return in there and then count those as a trilogy? What do you think?
Wow.
Can we do that? Ewok trilogy?
Wait, what's the trilogy?
Return of the Jedi.
Return and then the 2 Ewok films?
What a great
That would
trilogy,
be our
man.
second trilogy. I mean, you made 2 of them. Why not make one more?
Genuinely, do we know if any main characters show up in these movies?
Yeah.
I don't know anything, so I want to keep it surprise. I want to be surprised
Yeah.
if I see
All I
anyone.
know is that there are some acting credits. That's all I know.
All right. Well, we will find out next week on
Same bad time.
Caravan of
As we
Courage.
watch the DVD from now.
Oh, do they
You know-
have DVDs of this?
I watched this
Oh.
on VHS from the library.
Oh, you've seen this before.
That one.
Micah.
I've seen an Ewok Adventure.
These are both of them.
Oh, I've seen Caravan of
the
Courage.
double feature.
Because we thought it was cute.
2
we were
weeks
like,
of this.
I don't
Oh,
want
you
to,
would.
guys. I don't want to spoil it, but on the poster, we see Wicket fighting what appears to be a dragon. Guys, this will be
Epic.
quite the film.
Wow.
Caravan of Courage. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
This is where the fun begins.
Listen,
truly.
at least it just can't be as bad as the holiday special. It can't be as bad as that.
we'll find out.
We will find out next week. For now, this is Ben Rayside.
This is Ethan Wetzlaw.
This is Micah Het.
And remember,
Force will be with you always.